Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is July 13, 2025. Howard, how is your summer?
Fantastic. Just sitting here Sunday night. Look at the weather behind us, San Diego. I've been out biking, watching golf, watching Scottish Open tennis, Tour de France. What do we have? The markets looking good.
Yeah,
And
looking
good.
good.
Take it away. What do we got?
Well, the biggest event really last week was that breakout in Bitcoin and like all the other cryptocurrencies that followed in a way. And it was a breakout from a multi month base here. Finally, Bitcoin broke out, went from like what 110 to almost 120,000 per coin. This is IBIT, just one of the many ETFs. I think they're like what 15 Bitcoin ETFs in a
Yep.
way. And then another 30, 40 companies that their main operation is basically buying and holding Bitcoin. And then now we have the same for Ethereum and some of the others.
Hmm.
It has become a pretty mainstream, I would say. And personally, I played this with BITX, which is like the 2x Bitcoin ETF, and had a decent gain. Sold two-thirds already to
Hmm.
reduce risk, and I'm just riding the last third because you never know how much the market is going to provide. But as I said, Ethereum made a big move as well. Uh,
Yeah, they're benefiting from Circle, which, you know, proves
yeah,
that there's a revenue model. Stable coins are a great revenue model for banks, and you can't, and they're theoretically relying on Ethereum. I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
but
Solana benefits too.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
Bitcoin benefits, right? It's just this now becomes, people go into Bitcoin when they're nervous and they speculate. It's been going on, but it's becoming more mainstream. So when
yeah,
the
obviously
market gets
it's
up, people
becoming
think,
mainstream, and also the US dollar, is down 10% year to date, even though lately it had like a brief bounce. Overall, it's in a downtrend, and this
"Mhm.
is why we see that much strength in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, where you have limited supply, and the governments cannot really get involved too much. It's an international currency, but also we see strength in all of the metal stocks. And for some of them, like copper, the reason is just the new protectionist policies that the US government is offering.
Yeah,
But for others like silver and gold and platinum, it's basically the same story as Bitcoin. It's a supply and demand, and trying to stay away from currencies where governments can easily dilute them. And it seems in the US, no matter which party is in power, there's always an ever-growing deficit, and therefore the US dollar is losing value.
but now there's a tool outside gold where you don't really know the supply. It's all government created, where it's just, the white paper is the Bible of this, not the treasury. So with Bitcoin, there is finally a tool outside of gold, and Bitcoin theoretically has more use cases, especially if it's just trade, especially because it's trading and leverage and other products. So the other thing that's interesting about Bitcoin is look at MicroStrategy. You could argue, it just trades like Bitcoin does, so even though it doesn't hold dollar for dollar Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think it's trading at like almost two times
No, but the
net
charts kind
net
of
asset
look,
value.
the
Yeah,
charts kind of trade together. And why is that? Because you can't just, institutions can't go out and truly get Bitcoin, right? MicroStrategy, the one edge they have in all the copycats is they're built to just buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. And there's no quick way for a large institution to go buy, 10,000 Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin without juicing the market. So, as long as Bitcoin's in favor, and it seems like it'll be in favor as long as governments exist now, these rallies are going to be. it's, intense because people are trying to get it on their sheets. And there's a MicroStrategy for every country. I was talking to the guys in Japan that started MetaPlanet, which was a hotel company that struggled. I don't know what the symbol is, but you can pull it up, MetaPlanet.
I'm not
Which
sure if
is
it's listed in the US. Let's see,
yeah,
oh yeah, I saw it.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So
here
you
we
can
go.
see that
It
where's it?
has,
$11.
yeah,
Um, but really, it's become the exact. It's so popular in Japan, where investing wasn't. Retail investing has not been popular for 30 years. They're Bitcoin crazy, and they have this young guy that's doing the same thing as Michael Saylor's doing, but it's Japanese ticker,
mm,
Japanese company. So it's not just the US that's figured this out. So it's being copied. This is what happens when there's demand. Wall Street and entrepreneurs figures out creative ways to give you supply. Won't it? Again, if you really want to own Bitcoin, probably the best way for yourself, small investors, to just buy it on Coinbase somewhere and stick it on a ledger somewhere, get it off the exchanges and just own it. But the market is in the process right now of creating supply for people's demand. And the government with the bill passing, Trump's big bill that's just put a huge, it's a juicer for people that just believe this is the beginning of the end on the debt crisis, right? The people that, want to scream like Elon, as they probably should, now have a trade. It's not just gold. They have a trade to make if they want to bet on the end of the world. And
yeah,
it's a trade that a lot of people want to make.
yeah. I heard that Jim Chanos, one of the popular short sellers, he's doing a pair trade, short MicroStrategy, long Bitcoin, because of the fact that MicroStrategy is trading at like almost two times its net asset value. To me, it seems, I mean, I understand his rationale, it completely makes sense, but I'm not sure how much time is it gonna take to play out and
He
what
doesn't either.
can
It's
happen
it's
in,
it's a sucker's it's a sucker's bet. It's a media play. The average investor, it's just noise. That's why I haven't tracked any of that. Like the price action tells you what's going on. You don't have to hear from Jim Chanos. Um, and the price action in the S&P, we're forgetting the Nasdaq for a minute. I mean, you have an incredible new bull market beginning,
we're
right?
still near all-time highs, but like in the last week or so, we're starting to see some of the momentum, slowing down, and it might be, the
Yeah.
season, might be the summer. It's normal to see sector rotations and consolidations, 10, 15, 20% pullbacks in many of the momentum names. And we're
Well,
very
you're starting
likely,
to see that already in some of the IPOs.
yeah,
Like they doubled and tripled. There's no real demand underneath. These things just got carried
yeah.
away.
And we're starting to see also a lot of like failed breakouts,
Okay, let's look
like
at yeah.
for example, this one, Toast, try to break out, immediately pulled back. So there seem to be supply in many of those momentum names, and there are quite a few other examples. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of starting to think that maybe one small portion of the market is starting to wake up and think that those tariffs are not really going to go away. Like many people forget that earlier in the year, the Nasdaq 100 had a pretty significant correction. Like
Yeah.
it went down 26% in a couple months. And the reason behind that, was the fear of trade wars and big tariffs.
Hmm.
And, then at some point Trump came out and said, okay, we're going to postpone tariffs until
August.
July, whatever, 8th, 9th. And then he moved it again to August 1st. And so the markets probably thought, okay, he's just bluffing, it's just a strategy, negotiating strategy. And tariffs are not gonna probably be that high. But now with all the letters he's sending, I'm not so sure.
But I'm not so sure. He's told you that he's like tariff for 30 years. They're not going away. And then he needs a distraction for Epstein. But again, I'm just following price action. I agree with you that you should be careful here. Like you just said, breakouts aren't all working. The market's had a rip. You got earnings starting with JP Morgan. It's not like any surprise. They've been crushing it with Goldman Sachs, Netflix is this week. So you got earnings season. So, I tend to do less during earnings seasons for the next month or so. I'll just, you know, I think the market has priced in a lot of good stuff, and so I'm with you, Ivan. Like there's opportunity, but I think chasing here in late summer, you got to know what you're doing. And if interest rates come down, I think I would look more at some stuff in bases like home builders and stuff to rally.
Yeah, and some of them already, they tried to rally, but it was
Yeah.
like a
I'm
kind of
getting
like a bear
bullish
market
here. I mean,
rally.
again, I'm getting bullish here I'm in XHB, I'm in Meritage Homes. I'm in some of these just because they're interest rate sensitive and
So you think rates are going to come down because
no,
of
I'm
all
just
that?
saying I'm just testing this out here because I feel like this is where we could rotate into. Like rates start coming down or we'll just keep an eye. But yeah, if rates start accelerating again, these home builders will start.
Yeah, if rates start coming down, probably something like Rocket Mortgage, which they also bought Redfin, and then another one. Probably this will be one of the companies that will benefit the most. But as of right now, I'm not so sure. Even if they change the Federal Reserve chairman and they start cutting rates, that doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage rates are going to fall substantially.
Doesn't mean it. There's so much money on the sidelines. There's people that have been locked into either haven't been able to move because of interest rates. So I think we're pretty sensitive there. Plus, um, everybody's been chasing growth for a while. There could be a good rotation. It's just, listen, I don't, it's not a big idea. It's just something that I'm watching. And like you, I think for the rest of the summer, it was a great run that we've had. So I'm kind of being a little more careful about entries. What looks good? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
again, I know the drone stocks are
Yeah.
working.
I mean, yeah, drone
They had been
stocks.
working. These defense stocks have been trending. You've been talking about them, but now they really started getting.
Yeah, I mean, all the drone stocks, KTOS, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
AVAP,
don't
which
don't
I've
chase
been.
it. AVF, I mean, it gave an amazing opportunity. I even tweeted about it right here before that
Yeah.
jump, literally the day before that, they pull back to its earnings gap and, big
Look at the volume. I mean,
again on Friday. So yes, those are working. These are longer term trends, just like rare earth metals, MP and
yeah,
the other one, USAR.
yeah.
So I mean, what is kind of looking good is like Google, even though there's been so much headline risk with all of those AI companies announcing the release of their own browsers, and everybody, influencers, talking about that Google is losing market share because of the AI companies. And maybe this is why Google has been underperforming. I mean, look, relative strength rating of 49, that's basically right in the middle. But price wise, to me, it looks kind of constructive, even though you can experience, big shakedowns as we saw last week, because it,
Hmm.
it keeps making higher lows here, potential, inverse head and shoulder, and kind of setting up here for a breakout. And I don't know if this breakout is going to make a big move. In general, it's not a stock that moves fast,
Hmm.
but it's one of the setups that is not extended and it has built a base and it might work. And then Amazon is kind of similar to Google, a little bit, better looking the chart with the higher lows and, trying to break out here and potentially test the previous highs.
Yeah.
So those two, and then another one that uh, ALAB has been just, it
I
was one of the big
I'm with you in this. I'm small in this to some
momentum
degree.
darlings
Yeah.
before the correction, and it's one of the few AI component stocks that hasn't really recovered to new highs, unlike almost anything else. And I
Hmm.
don't know why. There might be a reason why. I mean, the market is smarter than me, and there's probably a reason behind it. But it's
Hmm.
it's working on a base here, and I know it's highly shorted. So if the market if market participants run out of other stocks to chase, they eventually might chase this one. And if it's highly shorted, we might see a squeeze, 20% or so at some point, especially considering those numbers, the growth numbers, earnings and sales growth. It's very rare to see such, triple digit growth numbers. So there are very few companies that meet that criteria.
Yeah.
And that's about it. There are not that many. And as I said, like I'm trading a little bit, smaller size right now and just picking my spots. Like last week, I tried a few that didn't work out. And like I kind of speculated with Baba, thought that there's going to be some buyers near the 200 day.
Yeah.
There weren't any buyers. It just continues to go down. I expected to see some rotation into China because it was kind of setting up, but nothing has happened yet. And, I was early, so didn't work out. And same with Apple. It was kind of setting up, but it's just a slow mover. So I had a couple trades, Apple, Baba, that didn't work out. And but my biggest one was, Bitcoin, which basically made up for the rest. And yeah, that's about it. Just not looking to trade anything big unless, something shows up. What about you? Are you seeing anything interesting?
No, I'm gonna do sales calls. Listen, I think when we've had a good run, my degenerate ETF kind of they've all had great runs, right? Coinbase, Robinhood. I'm out of DraftKings. I mentioned that I'm out of DraftKings, but there's just too much competition there. And I think like you're buying Robinhood at 80 billion. I don't know where you were during when we were buying it in
87, yeah.
60. Well, the VIX 60 was the last great entry, and I don't know. I'm super bullish because there's no competition at some level, but at the same time, it's also trading 80 times next year's numbers. So it's like, and it is, it's a platform and a growth stock, but yeah, when the stock was in the 30s, no one wanted to own it.
Yeah,
Uh,
here's the
or
VIX.
Maverick.
It just keeps pulling back. It's like back to
And again,
60.
you got the VIX pulling back, makes sense. Is the 12-day war kind of, no one people were calling for World War III, but at the same time, it's not over. And we're a long way from peace deals, and Ukraine, Russia still goes on, and Trump's got tariffs on his mind, and there's huge infighting. And again, it could all be again with the Republicans and the Democrats, who knows, more show than anything, but like the Epstein thing's not going to go away, and Trump's going to have to be extremely volatile. And he's got room to lean into tariffs and other things because the market's at all-time highs. Like, what does he care?
I
You
mean,
know,
all the cryptos are going up, so
he has nothing to lose. He's long,
yeah.
the market is at all-time highs, so he can fuck around, and he's trying to preserve whatever legacy he thinks he has. So I'm wary of him because he's a one-man bear market who also thinks he can create bull markets. So you have to be careful when the VIX is 16 down from 60 to be like getting excited about the market. The time to be excited about the market is when the VIX is, above 30. And that's where, the volatility is taking money from weak hands and trying to place it in stronger hands. And now we have, summer coming up. You got stocks that have tripled off the VIX 60 bottom, and interest rates still, like you said, where they are. You got the Fed fighting with the president. So yeah, I think be careful of your entries here.
All
All right,
right.
everybody, have a great week, Ivan.
You
Have
have
a
a
great
great one.
week.
Thank you, Howard.
See you,
See you
everybody.
next week. Bye.